About our favorite books and what we're currently reading. So to start off, I have to say Harry Potter. Sorry, Kayla, but it is on my list, and it is at the top of my list. It is one of the first book series that I fell in love with. It pretty much defines my life from middle school to high school growing up. I would go to the premieres of the books when they came out, at least the 5th, 6th, and 7th one I did. The midnight releases, I would go to those. I went to all the midnight releases for the movies, except for the first one. I feel like the first one I went to that day because I was too young or something. And yeah, so Harry Potter, sorry Kayla, it's on my list, but it defines me as an avid reader. I feel like that book series I'm quite obsessed with. I listen to podcasts. I was on all the web pages. MuggleNet was one of my favorite ones. I play Pottermore still. And I'm a Slytherin. I have dressed up in costume before. I own a wand. All this other stuff. Sorry, that's, yeah. Yeah, so Harry Potter definitely is on the list. Another one that's on the list is Chronicles of Narnia. I went to a Christian school. I grew up in the Christian home. So a lot of the books that I read growing up wouldn't necessarily make it on the list, but I loved Chronicles of Narnia. And it makes it on the list because it's a book that I read more than twice. And that's what I consider to be a favorite book. I love reading, but a lot of stuff I read only once because there's so much other things to read, and I got a lot of what I could get from it reading it once. And then the last book that's on my list is The Hobbit. I didn't really like Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, but I loved The Hobbit. And that goes back to, my love for adventure story and a fantasy story. You can see that in Harry Potter, you can see that in Chronicles of Narnia, and you can see that in The Hobbit. So those three are my all-time favorites. And again, those are defined by, I would read them more than, 3 times, say, or 2 times. I don't know. I will read them multiple times, and I have read them multiple times, and I really like them. Okay, so a couple other favorites that are on the list. I love a good romance story. I really do. And so I read Twilight when it first came out, and I liked it. I read the first book more than once. That's why I'm mentioning it. The other books I didn't like so much, but I loved the first one. I loved the idea of it. And I had already been in that world, reading other books with kind of otherworldly creatures in it. So that was not a huge leap for me. Now, it has gotten strangely popular, wildly popular even, and it has this huge stigma to it, which I get, but I still like the book series. Anyways, I like to mention Hunger Games because that's another one that got really popular. I read it, but I didn't read it again. But I wanted to mention that I read it. I don't know. I like a lot of popular books. Okay, so what I'm currently reading. Currently, I am reading Gone with the Wind. Again, that goes back to how I love romance stories, and I never read it, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia, so why have I never read this book? Well, I can tell you why. It's because of my Christian upbringing. They said it was bad. Anyways, so, yeah. Now I'm reading it, and by reading it, I mean I read 1 chapter so far, and I like it. And next, I'm currently reading the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. Oh my gosh, this series, if you've never heard of it, and you like reading, and you like fantasy books, you have to read this series. Robert Jordan was one of the best authors that I have ever read, especially in the fantasy world. He takes time with those details. The series is 12 books long. The last book is split into 3 parts. Now, Robert Jordan unfortunately passed away after writing 10 or 11 books, and so the last, I think it was 11 books. So the last book is written by Brandon Sanderson, and he is another fantasy author. But the notes for the entire series were already made, and so Brandon Sanderson is doing a wonderful job of capturing the story. Now, I say all that, but I have to say I've only read 6 books out of the 12 because they're so dense. There are so many characters. There's so many different point of views, and it's just like mind-blowing. Like the entire series, I can't even put it into words right now. It's just so awesome. So if you haven't had a chance to check out those books, definitely go look at those. And now I'm over 5 minutes, but that's okay because I finished now and I said everything that I wanted to say, I think. And I probably forgot some books somewhere in there, but like I said, or did I say this? I don't think I said this. Anyways, I was in college for 5 years and I just graduated this summer. So the books that I read for like the past 5 years have all been like books that I needed for a class or something like that. So I'm just now getting back into reading for pleasure. I've been reading since I learned how to read in the since the second grade is when I remember like actually picking up a book outside of school because I wanted to read it. Like that's the first time I remember. And I was reading so fast that my mom used to punish me by taking away my books. She used to quiz me after I read because she didn't believe that I was reading as fast as I was reading, but I would just like eat these books up. Like I love reading. And I think it has to do with the whole escaping into another realm and like when you're in the book you create that world that how you want to see it. But yeah, like my brother and sister and my mom would be like, no TV, and for me she'd be like, you can't read till you, I don't know, clean your room or something. So yeah, reading is wonderful. Okay, I'm done being a dork now. So yeah, that was my video for this Monday, and I'm getting it out on Monday. Hooray! I would like to propose for next week that we talk about a TV show that's on TV currently, or I don't know, I kind of want to limit it to one TV show because if we talk about lots of TV shows, I have lots and lots of things to say, and as you can see, this video is already longer than 5 minutes, and I want to try not to talk about longer than 5 minutes, so maybe we could talk about something to do with the TV show next week. I don't know. Oh well, I'll see you guys next Monday. Bye!